Over the past months, the world has been gripped by the ongoing conflict between Israel and Gaza. The headlines are everywhere, on TV and newspapers and across social media. The images and stories coming out of the region have sparked outrage, heartbreak, and heated debate in nearly every corner of the globe. But beyond the daily news cycle, a new and significant development has emerged, one that could have far-reaching consequences for international law, human rights, and the future of the region. Recently, a leading group of genocide scholars, some of the world's foremost authorities on mass atrocities, have stepped forward to make their voices heard. Their collective statement is not just another opinion, it's a formal declaration that is now fueling a global debate among governments, legal experts, and the public alike. The International Association of Genocide Scholars, or IAGs, is a respected organization representing hundreds of experts from dozens of countries. These are historians, legal scholars, and researchers who have spent their careers studying the world's worst crimes, genocide, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity. In a recent meeting, the IAGS passed a resolution that is now making headlines around the world. According to the IAGs, Israel's actions in Gaza meet the legal definition of genocide as outlined in the 1948 United Nations Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. This convention, created in the aftermath of the Holocaust, defines genocide as acts committed with the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. The IAGS resolution, which was supported by an overwhelming 86% of its voting members, lays out a series of grave allegations. It cites mass killings of civilians, the systematic blocking of humanitarian aid, the use of starvation as a weapon, the forced displacement of hundreds of thousands of people, and reports of sexual violence. These, the scholars argue, are not isolated incidents but part of a broader pattern that fits the criteria for genocide. The resolution itself is a detailed document referencing not only eyewitness accounts and media reports but also data from humanitarian organizations and the United Nations. The scholars emphasize that their assessment is based on a careful review of evidence, and they call on the international community to take urgent action to prevent further atrocities. Israel's government, however, has categorically rejected these accusations. Officials have responded swiftly and forcefully, calling the genocide allegations baseless and politically motivated. Israeli leaders argue that their military operations are aimed solely at targeting Hamas militants, who they accuse of embedding themselves within civilian populations and using residential areas as shields. They insist that every effort is made to minimize civilian casualties, and that the true responsibility for the suffering in Gaza lies with Hamas, not the Israeli military. In official statements, Israeli representatives have described the IAGS resolution as an embarrassment to the academic community, claiming it is based on misinformation, selective use of data, and a misunderstanding of the realities on the ground. They argue that such declarations only serve to inflame tensions and undermine efforts to reach a peaceful resolution. Meanwhile, the human cost of the conflict continues to mount. Since October 2023, local health authorities in Gaza report that more than 63,000 Palestinians have lost their lives. The majority of these casualties, according to medical officials and international observers, are women and children. Hospitals are overwhelmed, morgues are full, and families are being torn apart by the violence. International experts, including those from the United Nations and independent human rights organizations, have reviewed the casualty figures and consider them to be generally reliable, despite the challenges of verifying data in a war zone. These numbers have become a focal point in the debate over whether the threshold for genocide has been met. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is deepening by the day. Israel's blockade of the territory has led to severe shortages of food, clean water, and medical supplies. Aid agencies warn that famine has already been declared in some areas, with children suffering from acute malnutrition and families forced to survive on minimal rations. The blockade, combined with ongoing airstrikes and ground operations, has made it nearly impossible for relief organizations to reach those most in need. The international response has been mixed and, at times, deeply divided. Some countries have taken bold steps, officially recognizing Palestinian statehood or imposing sanctions on Israel in protest of its actions. Others have continued to support Israel, citing its right to self-defense and the threat posed by Hamas. The diplomatic fallout has been felt at the United Nations, in regional alliances, and on the streets of cities around the world. In a landmark move, South Africa has brought a case before the International Court of Justice in The Hague, accusing Israel of committing genocide against the Palestinian people. The case has drawn global attention, with legal teams from multiple countries submitting briefs and experts testifying on both sides. The outcome of this case could set a precedent for how the world responds to allegations of mass atrocities in the future. The issue of whether genocide is occurring in Gaza is not just a legal question, it's a deeply emotional and political one. It has divided communities, sparked protests, and led to passionate debates among scholars, politicians, and ordinary people. The complexity of the conflict, the history of the region, and the suffering of civilians on both sides make it one of the most challenging and controversial issues of our time. Around the world, universities, think tanks, and media outlets are hosting discussions and debates about the meaning of genocide, the responsibilities of the international community, and the prospects for peace. Scholars emphasize the importance of careful analysis, respect for evidence, and a commitment to justice for all victims, regardless of nationality or religion. As this story continues to unfold, it's clear that the stakes could not be higher. The decisions made in the coming months, by governments, courts, and ordinary citizens, will shape the future of Gaza, Israel, and the broader Middle East. For more updates, in-depth analysis, and a space to share your thoughts, subscribe to this channel and join the conversation. Your voice matters in this global debate.